Given that today is the first full Sunday back in this incredible space, it seems most appropriate to hallow the occasion with just a bit of formality. And so on this auspicious morning, I offer sacred, time-tested words to help bring our attentiveness to where we are right now. I encourage you, if you know these words, these sanctified, time-tested words, to say them with me. Here is the church. Here is the steeples. Come on together now. Look inside, and here are the people. Thank you. I know you were really worried, right? Here are the people, indeed. What a beautiful sight you are. It feels important to note, as Reverend Tovis did last week, that these days, the people, well, they're not just inside the building. Some of them are online. Some are present through our memory of them. And others through our imagination. We imagine those yet to come through these doors. Together, whether in Beck Hall or here or anywhere, actually, we attune ourselves to the diversity of yearnings and questions and insights among us and within us. We feel connected with all those who for whatever reason are here and those who for whatever reason are not present here physically. And we keep watch. We keep watch for those. We anticipate and prepare for those who haven't yet found their way to us. On this last Sunday, as your pastoral care minister, I feel moved to talk a little bit about pastoral care, how I and others have experienced it here during these very interesting, tumultuous years of ministerial and staff transition, of COVID and building renovation. I want to talk about what it means to now be sifting through all of that and shifting out of this role as you prepare to welcome a new ministry team in October. And as I prepare to enter a new time in my own life. So along those lines, I have to start by telling you, some of you may have heard this before, that 20 years ago, as I was entering ministry, when I was newly married to George over here, and preparing to move to Santa Monica, where he lived, to be with my new family, I went online looking for a congregation nearby because I was in seminary and I needed to do an internship. So I Googled UU and SM for Santa Monica. You know where this is going. Lo and behold, I saw this beautiful ceiling. I saw this sanctuary, and I was so excited to think that maybe one day, if everything aligns, I could actually be in this space. And then I realized the SM stood for San Mateo, and I had no idea where that was. It wasn't until I moved to Redwood City in 2014 that I realized I had finally found my way to San Mateo County. And I was so grateful to have occasion over the years to speak from the pulpit that was over here, and to collaborate on some community actions and shared learning experiences with you. Then in spring of 2022, when this congregation found itself dealing not only with masking ordinances and staffing challenges, but also with the departure of its minister. A complex and painful situation for everyone involved. There was deep concern among lay leaders for how to keep things going. There was just too many things changing. How to keep things going, not only the logistics, the complexity of logistics of pandemic safety, which was constantly changing, the needed technology of how to connect with people online, how to have that be a good experience, how to restructure committees and finances and programs, and I see some heads nodding. There was a lot going on. But also how to assure that the people continue to feel cared for in the midst of all of those changes. As you step up to re-envision the purpose of religious community and the possibilities for this community in the midst of so many uncertainties. As you figured out together how to get creative with some of the existing structures and processes while staying joyful and faithful and focused in the midst of those changes. And those weren't the only changes, right? Because aside from what was going on in the world and in this community, there are those deeply personal changes and challenges that inevitably come with time and gravity and shifting roles and abilities, and with each goodbye, so much to deal with. Which brings me back to the subject of pastoral care. So until fairly recently, the last quarter of the past century, pastoral care was defined mostly as centering on the application by clergy of rites and rituals related to illness and death and the loss of faith that can so easily come with them. Understood as such, even by those who don't believe in the spiritual power of such sacraments, the incentive to engage with a pastoral minister, the incentive to set up an appointment, has understandably been pretty low, because who wants to admit that they're going through something like that? My friends in the profession of dentistry report a similar reluctance in people to make appointments. Most people, I've been told, prefer to put off the focus on their pain and just prefer to suck on ice cubes and take Tylenol and wait until they can't wait anymore. So I can certainly relate to that inclination when it comes to dentists, as well as the inclination to just power through emotional discomforts. Those times when there is a discordance between who I want to be and who I've been and who I think I should be. Those times when I feel stuck somehow, unable to connect with a sense of purpose or gratitude or joy or hope. There's apparently a part of me, and I've come to believe a part of most of us, that seems to believe focusing on those experiences, talking about them with other people, might make those situations feel bigger, might make them feel less controllable. They might cause us to question our own ability to ride the waves. They might make us forget our strengths. And none of us want to feel vulnerable, want to be seen as not fully in control. Stoicism is definitely how I was raised. Stiff upper lip, roll up your sleeves, power through. But then there's the fact that we also live in a country that's built on a mythology of fierce independence. A go for the burn, grin and bear it, do what you gotta do, stick to itness that equates the vulnerabilities of uncertainty with weakness. And all of that with shame. So that being the case, I was so deeply moved to find out that this community's leadership was prioritizing the availability of pastoral care. Just in case, I was told. Just in case. Just in case some measure of comfort could be experienced by Tish as she declined. Or by one of you, as you grappled with everything being thrown at you during these incredibly trying months. And of course, we had no idea how long that would last. I had no illusion that I could solve any of these issues, or that I was in the position to offer spiritual assurances that would actually hit the mark in terms of this life or the afterlife. All I knew was that there was in your collective consciousness a just in case. And I was determined to show up for it. Because I've come to know in my 2 decades of ministry that there are cries deeper than all sound. There are cries that need to be released somehow, that need to be witnessed, that need to be heard, that need to be held, so that we can find our way to that which feels or is actually broken, and beyond that to that which is unbreakable. That which is unbreakable within us and among us. So that has become my working definition of pastoral care. Showing up. Showing up in order to make space for that which feels broken, in order to connect with that which is unbreakable. And that can and does happen in so many different ways. And of course that means it is not limited to end of life scenarios. It's not limited to times of extreme physical or emotional pain. It is actually woven into every single aspect of church life, every moment, every encounter, every time our eyes meet. Pastoral care is always, it's about showing up for everything, even the joyful things. It doesn't just have to be painful. As I say it again, pastoral care is showing up in order to make space for that which feels broken, in order to connect with that which is unbreakable. So in anticipation of the ending of my contracted time with you, 2 weeks ago I invited Reverend Tovis and the pastoral care team, led by Kathy Kinner and Allison White, to come to my home in Redwood City to celebrate the holy work that we have done together these past 16 months, and to help orient Reverend Tovis to her new roles. So since our monthly Zoom meetings usually had about 6 to 8 people on the screen total, I figured we could easily fit in my backyard. As it turned out, there were 13 of us, and we were acutely aware that there were those who couldn't even make it. It was a big group of people, and I mention this because, as I've learned while with you, in this community, just in case extends far beyond the rites and rituals and difficult conversations requiring clergy skills. And thank goodness for that. Here, just in case, is anticipated by those who create and deliver meals, and love wraps and flower bouquets. It is expressed by those who notice when someone's been absent for a while and then takes the time to reach out to see how they're doing. It's articulated by those who gather to sing at bedsides, who make or wear name tags, or who offer hugs on Sunday mornings. Those who put out coffee and give rides and have cared enough to make this space accessible and beautiful. Pastoral care is evident everywhere. In closing, pastoral care, as I see it, is far more than its old definition. And it's far more than any one minister can or should offer. Because truth be told, ministers, among other things, are human, and the fact is, they come and go. Just like buildings come and go, they change, but what remains is what was pulled out of that bag. Love, a feeling of connectedness. That's what remains. What remains is your memory and your imagination shared in sacred trust. So pastoral care is you showing up just in case there might appear in this guise or that, as it inevitably does among human beings, a crack or a hollow space of loss, too vast for words, or an unexpected shimmer of holiness. Both and so much more are always possibilities. So I encourage you to keep watch for them. I do encourage you also to reach out to the pastoral care team and to Reverend Tovis if any of this sounds confusing or intriguing. Given what we talked about in my backyard, it is clear that small gestures can and do make a huge difference, and that showing up in generosity always ends up being of mutual benefit. So I offer my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for this unexpected opportunity to be here in this space with you, or actually in Beck Hall for the 16 months, but today here in this space with you, during this very interesting time in our history. I leave you with a full heart and with much joy, knowing what a vital presence you bring to one another and to the wider community of San Mateo County. And thankfully, I now know where that is. As for me, after taking a break to welcome my third grandchild any moment now, I look forward to expanding my spiritual direction practice and offering pulpit supply in different communities, doing consulting, running retreats and workshops, offering classes combining scriptural studies with art, and preparing for my bat mitzvah. I'm learning Hebrew. Showing up for justice work, spending time with George and my mom, and our menagerie of animals, 2 cats, 2 dogs, and 4 chickens at the moment. The season is turning, and that is as it should be.